Center for Study of Science, Technology and Policy, CSTEP, is a not-for-profit research organization, incorporated in 2005 under Section 25 of the Companies Act 1956. Its vision is to enrich the nation with technology-enabled policy options for equitable growth. CSTEP has emerged as one of the largest think tanks in India, and has grown to become a multidisciplinary policy research organization in the areas of energy, infrastructure, materials, security studies, climate adaptation, and DARPAN. CSTEP has to its credit several publications and research reports, which are published in reputed journals, both at the national and the international levels.
Many years ago, I worked as a scientific advisor to Defense Minister in Delhi. My job was to brief the political leadership and the bureaucracy on options that emanate out of technology. I realized that alone was not sufficient. Technology has to be accompanied by appropriate policies. It is this combination that helped India's green revolution, transforming begging bowl into bread basket. In other countries, think tanks do this job. They do both the policy studies and identify appropriate technologies. Over a period, thanks to these efforts of many Western think tanks, policy studies from qualitative have become much more formal, much more quantitative, much more analytical. Contributions like RAND corporations have made fundamental insight into what makes good policies. India, we have some excellent think tanks, but they are focused in one area or another, be it in defense or in agriculture or in economics. But the techniques we adopt for studying policies are identical. So when I returned from the United States, instead of moving back to Delhi and being in one committee or another, I chose to come back home to Bengaluru and start looking at building an institution for policy studies. I had a spare room in my house, and it became the first office of CSTEP, and many of my former students from Carnegie Mellon University joined me in this adventure. We have grown significantly. We have grown from 2 or 3 members to now today about 75, with a large number of PhDs and masters and what have you. And our studies now involve not just in one area of energy, but in many other areas, including new materials, including advanced surveillance techniques, etc., etc. It is this that makes CSTEP an exciting and a unique institution, which has been sustained and encouraged by foundations from our country as well as IDRC from Canada.
While the chairman initiated CSTEP, the executive director oversees the organization's day-to-day activities.
In the think tanks ecosystem of India, CSTEP is a relatively new entrant. Most Indian think tanks, and most of them are outstanding institutions, few institutions focus on science and technology. CSTEP is an institution which attempts to harness the power of technology for the benefit of Indian masses and for the upliftment of the social and economic development. It was with this vision that CSTEP was established as an institution almost 8 years back. We have come a long way, but we have a long way to go. Today, we have a young organization consisting of a large number of young people who have a high level of motivation and a desire to contribute to society in their own unique manner, own unique ways. We also are looking at governance. As we know, governance is the thing which will define the future of the country in the coming decade. And what we are examining is how can technology play a crucial role in improving the delivery of services to our citizens. CSTEP is a work in progress, and we have still a long way to go to develop a true potential and make stellar contributions to the national cause. We also want to be an organization which is continuously learning, because I firmly believe that an organization which does not imbibe the culture of a continuous learning soon becomes stagnant. So we are an institution which imbibes this philosophy of having to continuously prove our value to society and be a continuously learning organization.
CSTEP is recognized as a scientific and industrial research organization by the Ministry of Science and Technology, Government of India.
CSTEP has been 8 years old since it started, was incorporated in 2005. So when we walked down the memory line, so how did Arun sir approach you? What was your feeling when he actually told the idea of CSTEP to you? How the incorporation happened? Could you please share your experience with us?
Sure. You see, actually you are slightly wrong in saying it is 2005, but on paper it is 2005, but it actually started off well before 2005. They felt that there are very few institutions in the country which look into the implementation of policies. So with that, I would say that actually CSTEP started in 2003-04 itself, but then on paper or legally it started in 2005. Because I got in touch with him sometime in 2004.
Nearly 40% of India's population lacks access to electricity, and ensuring this to all in a cost-effective and environmentally sustainable manner is a major challenge. CSTEP focuses on developing science and technology-based options for India's low-carbon energy growth in the areas of demand-side and supply-side management.
The overarching national energy policy objectives are to provide reliable, good quality, affordable energy for rural development, poverty alleviation, faster, more inclusive, sustainable growth of the economy, while addressing energy security and climate change. The key pathways to these objectives are low carbon growth, energy efficiency of industries, appliances and buildings, integration of solar and wind energy resources, advanced energy storage technologies, efficient transmission and distribution, and smart grids. Energy research at CSTEP is based on rigorous modeling and engineering economic assessment of many of these pathways for energy development. The primary aim is to provide better inputs for policy design and implementation at the local, state and national levels, both in the urban and the rural context.
Using emerging technology such as geographic information systems, agent-based models and gaming engines, with powerful computational and visualization platforms, SSG creates artifacts, tools, exercises and policies to enable effective and efficient handling of problems in this area.
Within the security studies domain, we at CSTEP are examining a few issues. One is emergency and disaster management. The management of disasters, both natural and man-made, is vital to minimize the loss of life, livelihood and property. Disaster management consists of 4 distinct phases: mitigation, preparedness, response and recovery. We have been working primarily in issues of mitigation and preparedness. Through our efforts, we are using computation tools to better understand the nature of certain emergencies and the type of training needed for personnel to better prepare for them to respond to these emergencies. We use tools such as geographic information systems, agent-based models, as well as gaming engines for our analysis. Geographic information systems have shown to be incredibly useful in mapping areas of interest and superimposing our spatial temporal models, which could be diffusion models or even agent-based models, to help us get a better understanding of certain types of emergencies. We have used gaming engines to develop almost instantaneous 3D walkthroughs of buildings, which can prove to be immensely useful during the training and preparation of emergency response personnel. Other issues we are examining is the use of information technology for safe cities. Here we are examining various computational tools that can help in providing increased safety and security to citizens of an urban area. So in a sense, we use computational tools to model, visualize, simulate incidents in order to understand their impact and help us develop policies for mitigation, preparedness, response for a more secure society.
Combinatorial sciences and materials informatics, material genomics, are emerging as the enabling tools for the development of next-generation materials.
The main objective is basically to help increase the penetration of renewable energy or clean energy options into the Indian energy mix, and for that we are concentrating on materials research. We were part of a national steering committee formulated by Government of India, Ministry of Mines, and we have recently completed a study in collaboration with Ministry where we have looked into the what should be the roadmap of rare earth materials.
CSTEP has endeavored to address the complexity of problems that form the spectrum of social infrastructures, physical and public services through knowledge from many perspectives and disciplines.
We have built an initial proof of concept for intercity transport mode choice, where we looked at mobility, coverage, environmental friendliness, and also how it could act as a catalyst for urban development in the region. We also had an opportunity to work with the Planning Commission to develop system dynamics model to understand how the major forces impacting India lead to several future development scenarios.
A user interactive computer application titled Decision Analysis for Research and Planning has been created by CSTEP. This can be hosted on the web server and accessed by policymakers. The aim of this application is to create a decision-making environment which enables multiple policymakers to simulate and evaluate the impact of their policy choices in terms of predetermined output parameters.
CSTEP has embarked on a program to build a platform called Darpan. Darpan stands for Decision Analysis for Research and Planning. The idea of Darpan is to build a computational environment within which we can use various models that are in the various domains and examine the various assumptions within these models and see what the impact is on the environment they're supposed to operate. In this platform, the idea is that the decision maker will be able to sit with the modeling team and examine a various number of what-if scenarios. The decision maker can then decide on various options and come up with what is the best decision, and now the decision maker could also be part of a larger group of stakeholders.
CSTEP is supported by grants received from domestic and international foundations, industry trusts and governments.
Though incorporated in 2005, CSTEP commenced its operations after it received its first external support from the SSN Foundation in 2007-8. The center used the support to initiate studies in energy, especially energy efficiency in the small and medium industries. In 2008-9, CSTEP received another major grant from the Jamshedji Tata Trust for undertaking research in next generation infrastructure, including computational modeling. This was again a 3-year grant. In 2010, CSTEP added 2 more funding sources, the DRDO for undertaking research in emergency and disaster management, and the ClimateWorks Foundation of the USA for undertaking research in energy efficiency in energy intensive industries like the cement, iron and steel, etc. In the same year, CSTEP also raised a corpus grant of Rs 1 crore from the Sexaria Foundation for acquiring a 14-acre land. CSTEP proposes to build its campus in this 14-acre plot. A major breakthrough in CSTEP's resource raising program was its selection in 2010-11 into the Think Tank Initiative program of the IDRC Canada. So far, CSTEP has received support from about 35 entities ranging from overseas foundations, multilateral aid agencies, private philanthropy, etc.
Building a brand and ensuring that CSTEP's visibility is achieved is one of the key objectives of the communication and policy engagement team.
The communication and policy engagement activities is a very high priority at CSTEP. The team works closely with the leadership and senior research staff in accomplishing the various activities planned. The key objectives of the CPE team is to increase visibility, improve quality of research, improve writing and presentation skills, introduce innovative use of technology, and of course support resource mobilization. While some of the ongoing programs activities include introduction of standards and guidelines, conducting in-house training and hands-on workshops to identify lacunae, and revamping the CSTEP website for better navigation. The team constantly identifies how best it can leverage the various activities by bringing in visibility at appropriate points by intervening and adapting best practices.
CSTEP constantly aims at science and technology-enabled policy options for an inclusive and equitable economic growth.
Our IT infrastructure has grown as well, from a single table to multiple racks with servers and high-performance computing clusters. This is a network rack, the place where all the data magic happens. The connectivity to the outside world is protected by an enterprise-class firewall, which also manages the content filtering, load balancing, and DNS DHCP services. This is the first cluster rack. This is a high-performance hybrid cluster which has both CPU and GPU. This is the second cluster with a total capacity of 4 teraflops and is currently being used by the materials group for simulations with VASP and Quantum Espresso. Some of our other critical servers are hosted in a Tier 4 data center in Hyderabad. This is in order to ensure high availability and redundancy all the time.
CSTEP has built a multidisciplinary research capacity to include economists, policy specialists and social scientists, experts, etc. to ensure that the research conducted have a long-term impact and have meaningful outcomes by incorporating social and economic perspectives to a scientific solution.
Our people are the most valuable assets at CSTEP, and the HR function supports the organization by managing the human capital. We've grown from 4 employees in 2008 to about 70 employees at present. We have a young workforce from various backgrounds of engineering, science, economics, development, management and public policy. CSTEP has a relatively flat organization structure with a minimum bureaucracy which attempts to foster innovation and creativity.
It's been 3 years now, and I like this place primarily because one is it gave me an interaction directly with the policymakers, which I was actually looking for after I graduated by doing a PhD degree. And secondly, and more importantly, it has given me flexibility to work in different areas, on areas of my choice, beginning with conventional energy like natural gas that I was looking at, and also non-conventional energy, that is solar, which I'm currently looking at. And apart from that, the responsibility what have been given to me is tremendous. There's a good, vibrant, young crowd over here, which is at a fairly senior level roles. I think this is a place to work for if you are interested or looking to work in an environment and an energy-related field.
CSTEP gives you an opportunity to work in a completely interdisciplinary framework. So for instance, I work in climate change adaptation and I work for nuclear power policies. So both are totally different and adverse, and it gives me a chance to build capacity in these sectors.
I was privileged to be a part of a project which looked into development of computational tools for assessment of solar technologies. They also gave me an opportunity to lead a unique project on development of solar thermal biomass power plant in Bihar. This is a project where we look into the development of a power plant and going ahead how these kind of power plants can be replicated and what is the social impact of this.
CSTEP gives me the opportunity to both identify the gaps that exist as well as carry out research with a multidisciplinary team. Our work process allows us to engage constantly with multiple stakeholders and peer organizations in the field to constantly validate our thought process.
CSTEP offers an environment that encourages research and ideas. For someone coming from academia, it is refreshing to be in an environment where you can see the practical applications of your theoretical research, where you interact with stakeholders, where you deal with people that are responsible for implementation, and then help them come up with better ways to do what they plan to do.
Today CSTEP is standing at a crossroad, where it is trying to venture into new areas, while at the same time strengthening its current domains, by keeping in mind its vision statement.